This is the video tutorial for the Happy Days Neck Snood. You will need fleece fabric, elastic cord and a toggle. And this is how we make it. With your fabric folded in half, right sides together, so pretty side to pretty side. Line up the sides and edges and then add some clips around this curved edge and all along here. I've added my clips and now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and use 1/4 inch seam allowance on stitch length 4 or more. Sew all the way around the curve and stop, and then along the straight part and stop. I've sewn all the way around using 1/4 inch seam allowance and stitch length 4. I'm now going to push this end up to here, and to do that, put your hands in until you get to the top, and then get the two edges and line them up. I pushed it through, and it's essential to start with that this bottom seam and this seam match up, and put your first clip there so it's all held together. That's my first clip in place. Now I've got to ensure that this top edge and the other top edge all match up, and then add another clip. We now need to leave a gap sign, so I'm adding my gap here, and once again I'm ensuring that these top edges all match up as I do it. About 10 centimetre gap you need, and then carry on and do another clip after your gap sign. I'm going to turn over. Once again, I'm checking that everything lines up. And right on this fold at the very top, I'm going to add a clip. I'm now going to add my gap sign for the elastic channeling. So only a small gap. I've added my gap sign, and now I'm going to carry on adding clips all the way down. I've zoomed in so you can see a bit clearer, and I've added all my clips and my gap signs. So I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and sew all the way around, missing where the gap sign is on this side for the elastic, and of course on this side for the turning gap. I'm just getting to my first gap sign. I'll back stitch. Cut the thread. Pull it round. Back stitch. I'm coming up now to my gap sign for the elastic. This is a much smaller gap. Back stitch again. the thread. And then back to where we started. Back stitch, stop and cut the thread. I've sewn all the way around, remembering to leave my gap for turning and my gap for the elastic. So it's through this gap now. I'm going to turn it the right way out. I've turned it the right way out, so I'm looking at the right side of the fabric again. Now this is where my gap was here. Now you've got two ways of doing it. You can either take it over to your sewing machine and sew along there, or you could use a ladder stitch and sew by hand along there. You won't actually see these stitches because this will be the inside of your snood when it's finished, so it's completely up to you how you sew the gap up. I've sewn up my gap, which is now on the inside of my snood, so you can't see it. I'm now going to form the channeling for the elastic. Now I've put a little pencil in there so you can see where it is. So we've got to go over to the sewing machine and sew all the way around, the same width all the way around, and come back to the start. I've sewn all the way around, forming a channeling. Now add your elastic cord to an end of a safety pin and then find the gap you left and thread carefully all the way around. I've threaded my elastic all the way around and I've added my spring-loaded toggle. I've tied a knot on the end, and the next bit of sewing is to carefully top stitch all the way around the bottom edge, all the way around. I've top stitched all the way around the bottom, and that's your happy days neck snood all finished.